Previously, on This African Tale, a 15-year-old girl living as a servant in her aunt's home discovered a hidden box containing letters, medical reports, and a diary revealing the truth about her mother. She learned her mother had been poisoned and that her aunt had stolen her inheritance, raising her as a maid instead of a daughter. Holding the locket engraved with her initials, she finally realized her true identity and rightful legacy. Now, armed with hidden evidence, she resolves to uncover the full truth and reclaim what was stolen: her home, her name, and her mother's honor. Day, the air was still when Aunt Rhoda left with her daughter to the salon. They chatted cheerfully as they got into the car, completely unaware of the storm brewing behind the quiet calm of the house. Rhoda's son stayed in his room, glued to his video games, the noise drowning out the sound of the closing gate. That was all the chance Stephanie needed. She stood in the hallway for a moment, her heart pounding, then whispered, "Please God, just guide me." And with that, she moved. This time, she wasn't sneaking for secrets. She was stepping into the truth. In the bank lobby, midday, the low hum of the air conditioner did little to calm her nerves. Stephanie stood at the counter clutching her mother's diary and locket tightly. The bank officer, a tired-looking woman in her 40s, looked up. "Good afternoon. How can I help you?" Stephanie swallowed hard. "I'm trying to find out if there's an account under the name of Emelda Amadi. She was my mother." The woman frowned slightly. "Do you have the account number or any proof of relationship? Maybe a birth certificate?" Stephanie shook her head. "No, but I have this." She opened the diary to a marked page with an old photograph, a young Emelda holding a baby. Beside it, in neat handwriting, were the words, "Stephanie is all I have. No matter how hard life gets, I won't let her suffer like I did. If anything happens to me, I hope she finds this diary under the third drawer." Stephanie looked up, eyes wet. "My name is Stephanie Emelda Amadi. This diary is about me. And this locket." She opened it, showing the tiny letters engraved inside, S-E-A. The officer paused, her expression softening. Then she nodded. "Please wait here. I'll call the branch manager." In the manager's office later, Mr. Okon, the branch manager, sat behind his desk, calm and thoughtful. He read through the diary carefully, his brow furrowed. When he looked up, his tone was kind but serious. "The story here is touching, but we will still need official proof of identity before giving access. A birth certificate, ID, anything linking you legally to Mrs. Emelda Amadi." Stephanie's heart dropped. "I don't have those. Aunt Rhoda kept them from me." She pushed the locket toward him. "All I have is this, and her words." Mr. Okong sighed. "Legally, that's not enough, but..." He paused, typing something on his computer. "I can at least confirm if the account exists." Stephanie held her breath. After a moment, he looked up. "It does. The account was opened about 16 years ago by Emelda Amadi. It was set to transfer to her daughter, Stephanie Emelda Amadi, on her 18th birthday." Her heart leapt. "So there's money in it?" His face darkened slightly. "There was." He turned the screen toward her. 25 million naira, fixed deposit. But the funds started to reduce about 8 years ago. The withdrawals were made by Rhoda Ibekwe. Stephanie blinked. "What?" "She presented a guardianship letter, an affidavit, and your mother's death certificate. They all appeared genuine. She claimed to be your legal guardian." Stephanie's hand trembled. She took everything. "The last big withdrawal was 2 years ago," Mr. Okon said quietly. "What's left is 122,000 naira."
The number hit her like a punch. "She stole my life," she whispered. Mr. Okong nodded slowly. "If you want to reclaim what's yours, you will need to take legal action. File an affidavit, prove your identity, maybe through DNA. I can link you to our legal department." Stephanie straightened, her voice firm. "Please do." When she got home that evening, the house was quiet. Rhoda and her daughter hadn't returned yet. Stephanie moved through the hallway like a shadow. Calm face, burning heart. She said nothing. She simply tucked the diary and locket safely into her bag and sat down to wait. For the first time, she wasn't afraid of Aunt Rhoda coming home.
1 week later, the sun hung low in the sky as Stephanie walked home from the market, lost in thought. Her mind replayed the events of the past week, the bank visit, the truth, the betrayal. Then she stopped. A familiar black car was parked by the gate. The driver's door opened and a man stepped out, tall, composed, his presence quiet but commanding. His gaze met hers and she recognized him instantly. He was the same man who had visited the house weeks ago, asking for Emelda's daughter. "I was hoping to find you," he said. Stephanie froze. "You were the one who came to the house weeks ago. Why are you looking for me?" "You're Stephanie, Emelda's daughter." Her breath caught. "What did you just say?" "I knew your mother," he said softly. "I was her lawyer and her friend. I've known about you since the day you were born." Her stomach tightened. "You knew who I was all this time?" "I tried to reach out," he continued. "I wanted to find Emelda's daughter, but Rhoda did everything possible to keep your identity a secret. You were barely a year old when your mother died, but Rhoda refused to let anyone near you. No one knew whether she kept you or sent you away. I kept searching, quietly, patiently. When I saw you years later, your striking resemblance to Emelda confirmed my suspicion. Rhoda concealed your identity because she knew that if the truth ever came out, she would lose everything she stole." He stepped closer and pulled out a thick folder. "This," he said, "is your mother's real will. Emelda made me draft it when you were 3 months old. She was weak then, rarely left the house, but she insisted on signing it herself. Rhoda doesn't know this version exists. Everything, the house, the bank accounts, the assets, they are yours." Stephanie's hand trembled as she reached for the folder. He looked at her with quiet conviction. "You're not alone anymore." 4 days later, Stephanie sat in the lobby of a beautiful restaurant, her nerves taut. Barrister James, her mother's lawyer, had called. He wanted her to meet someone important. The door opened. A tall man stepped in, his face lined with age and sorrow. His searching eyes swept across the room until they landed on her. He froze, breath catching. "You," he whispered. "You're her. You're Emelda's daughter, my daughter." Stephanie rose slowly, unsure whether to run or stay. "Who are you?" she asked. "Are you Maxwell Amadi, the man who wrote those letters?" "Yes," he said quietly. "I am. I found out your mother had left only when I came home to an empty house after a small misunderstanding. Rhoda, her sister, did everything possible to destroy our relationship and make Emelda believe I didn't love her enough." Stephanie frowned. "And Rhoda said my mother got pregnant for a man who didn't love her and abandoned her to raise the child alone." Maxwell's eyes widened. "What? That's not true. I loved your mother deeply. We were married. I did everything I could to show her how much you meant to me. When I found out she was pregnant, I begged her to come home, but she believed Rhoda's lies. Rhoda knew that to control Emelda, she had to turn her against me. So she planted doubts in her mind. Emelda became insecure. Anytime another woman was seen around me, she assumed I was unfaithful. I realized too late that Rhoda had been feeding those lies to her, all to destroy our marriage and take everything from her." Stephanie's eyes narrowed.
How do I know you're not just another person trying to take something from me? He took a step closer, his voice trembling. Because I lost your mother, and losing her meant losing you. I've lived with that guilt every day since. I should have done more. I'm sorry, Stephanie. She stared at him, her defenses up. I don't know if I can trust you. You are a stranger to me. I know, he said softly. I'd like to make things right. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then finally, her eyes softened. Then start, she whispered. Start by telling me everything Rhoda tried to bury. As her father sat across from her, the weight of years between them, Stephanie knew this was only the beginning of reclaiming not just her name, but her mother's legacy, her future, and her truth. Later that night, Maxwell tied the last page of Emelda's diary with trembling fingers. On the inside back cover, written in her neat and elegant handwriting, was a short list of names and phone numbers, emergency contacts. One name stood out: Dr. Donald Eze, personal physician. Beside it, Emelda had written trusted, cautious. Without hesitation, Maxwell dialed the number. The call rang several times before a deep, weary voice answered. Hello? Good afternoon, Maxwell said carefully. Am I speaking with Dr. Donald Eze? Yes, this is he. Who's calling? My name is Maxwell Amadi. I'm calling about a former patient of yours, Emelda Amadi. There was silence on the line. Then he exhaled slowly. Emelda, he murmured. God rest her soul. I remember her very well. Maxwell's throat tightened. Doctor, I need to see you. It's about her daughter and the circumstances surrounding her death. They agreed to meet the next day at Dr. Donald's clinic, a quiet, time-worn building that smelled faintly of disinfectant and liniment. When Stephanie, Maxwell, and
Barrister James
arrived, the doctor rose from behind his desk. His hair was grayer now, but his eyes remained sharp and searching. I never thought I'd hear her name again, he said, shaking Maxwell's hand. Then he turned to Stephanie and froze. She looks just like her mother, he whispered. They sat.
Maxwell handed him the diary.
Dr. Donald read in silence, his expression darkening with every line. When he finally looked up, his voice was heavy. Yes, I remember everything. Emelda came to me months after leaving her husband. She complained of fatigue, headaches, and nausea that wouldn't go away. I ran every test I could. He moved to a filing cabinet and pulled out a faded brown folder. I kept her records. I couldn't bring myself to destroy them. He laid the papers on the desk. Her blood test showed elevated lead levels. It wasn't accidental. It was chronic poisoning. I suspected she was being poisoned slowly through ingestion. I tried to warn her, but she brushed it off, saying her sister was caring for her. The last time I visited, after she had given birth but was still very weak, that same woman threw me out of the house. Months later, I heard Emelda had died, but I never stopped wondering. Maxwell clenched his face. It wasn't sickness, doctor. She was murdered. And her daughter, the one Emelda trusted Rhoda to protect, was enslaved in that same house for years. The doctor's eyes hardened. Then this must come to light. I'll testify if I'm called upon. Emelda Amadi deserves justice, and so does her daughter.
The sun hung high in the sky as the car pulled into Rhoda's compound. Stephanie sat quietly in the back seat, her heart pounding. Beside her, Maxwell's jaw was set tight. Two plainclothes officers stood nearby, waiting for his signal. He turned to her one last time. Are you sure about this, Stephanie? Rhoda is dangerous. Stephanie met his eyes steadily. I'm not afraid anymore. I need her to see me for who I truly am. Maxwell nodded and squeezed her hand. We'll be right outside. Stephanie stepped out of the car and walked across the familiar compound. Every corner held memories of pain. The yard she had swept 1,000 times, the steps she had scrubbed while Rhoda scolded her.
She pushed the door open. Rhoda was in the living room sipping tea and barking orders at her daughter. Her laughter died instantly when she saw Stephanie. The teacup slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. "You? Where are you coming from, you worthless?" Stephanie interrupted quietly, her voice firm and steady. "I'm not worthless, and I'm certainly not a bastard. I'm here to take back what belongs to me." Rhoda's husband looked up startled. "Take back what? Rhoda, what is she talking about?" Stephanie met his gaze. "This house, every wall, every brick, belonged to my mother, Emelda Amadi. She built it. She lived here long before Rhoda ever stepped through that gate." Rhoda's face drained of color. "That's a lie. Emelda had nothing." "She had everything," Stephanie said sharply. "Until you came. You poisoned her food, made her sick, and when she died, you stole her life. The doctor found lead in her blood, proof of slow poisoning. I have the test results. I have her diary, and now I have the truth." Rhoda shook her head, her voice trembling. No, that's not true. You don't know what you're saying." "She wrote about you," Stephanie said, lifting the small leather-bound diary. "About how you told her Maxwell had moved on. How you destroyed every letter he sent. You trapped her here until she died." At that moment, the door opened. Maxwell stepped inside, his expression dark. "You kept my wife prisoner, and you made my daughter a slave." "Get out of my house," Rhoda screamed. "Your house? You mean Emelda's house? The one you stole after you killed her?" Stephanie stepped closer, tears glistening in her eyes, but her voice unwavering. "You lied to me. You beat me. You called me nothing. But I am not nothing. My name is Stephanie Emelda Amadi, and I came here for the truth." The room fell silent. Rhoda's husband turned to her, pale and shaken. "Rhoda, is this true?" Before she could answer, the officers entered. One unfolded a document. "Mrs. Rhoda Ibekwe, you are under arrest for the suspected murder of Emelda Amadi, falsification of documents, and prolonged abuse of a minor." Rhoda's knees buckled. Her children stood frozen as the officers led her away, her protest echoing through the compound. Stephanie didn't look back. She stepped out into the sunlight, the leather-bound diary pressed to her chest. For the first time in her life, she could breathe freely. The house that once had been her prison now stood silent behind her. It was hers, truly hers, at last.
1 month later, the courtroom hummed with hushed tension. Spectators filled the gallery, some curious, others quietly emotional. The heavy doors creaked open. The court clerk's voice rang out, formal and precise. "All rise for the Honorable Justice Bassey." Everyone stood as Justice Bassey, dignified and steely-eyed, entered and took her seat. After a moment, she gestured for the court to be seated. The judge's voice, measured and commanding, filled the room. "We are convened today in the matter of the state versus Rhoda Ibekwe, charged with the murder of her sister, Emelda Amadi, and the fraudulent theft of funds belonging to her niece, Stephanie Emelda Amadi. Prosecution, your opening statement." Barrister James, standing tall, his voice firm and composed, began. "My lord, this case is not merely about poison or theft. It is about betrayal, the kind that turns a home into a grave and motherhood into manipulation. Rhoda Ibekwe was not a stranger in Emelda's life. She was her sister, welcomed into her home, entrusted with care. But instead of love, she delivered slow, silent murder. Medical experts will testify that Emelda Amadi suffered chronic poisoning with traces of lead found in her system, consistent with long-term ingestion of contaminated food or drink. The pattern was subtle, calculated. A killer who knew her victim's trust was the perfect weapon. And while her sister's health deteriorated, Rhoda seized control of the house, the finances, and most tragically, of Stephanie, Emelda's infant daughter. After Emelda's death, records show that Rhoda forged documents, posed as Stephanie's sole guardian, and withdrew funds meant for the child's care and future. We will present Emelda's personal diary, entries filled with fear, doubt, and suspicion, a woman desperate for clarity in her final days.
And you will hear from Stephanie herself, now a teenager, who uncovered the truth buried with her mother. This is not merely a case of murder. It is the dismantling of a family by one of its own. We will prove beyond reasonable doubt that Rhoda Ibekwe is guilty of both the death of her sister and the betrayal of her niece. Thank you, my lord. A tense silence followed. The air was thick with expectation. Defense counsel, Mr. Olayemi, rose, calm but measured. My lord, emotion, however tragic, must not replace evidence. Emelda Amadi died, yes. Toxins were found, yes. But my client, Rhoda Ibekwe, has not been shown to have administered any poison. No witness saw it. No contaminated container bears her fingerprints. No confession exists. My client raised Stephanie from infancy, fed her, clothed her, and kept her in school. The funds in question were withdrawn openly with accepted bank paperwork. Bureaucracy may be flawed, but it is not proof of crime. As for the diary, whose words are they really? Emotional scribblings of a sick woman or planted after the fact? This case leans too heavily on what might have been rather than what can be proven. My lord, we ask only for fairness. The murmurs in the gallery grew, while Rhoda Ibekwe sat pale and tense, eyes darting nervously. Justice Bassey's voice cut through the tension. This court will consider facts, not theatrics. Prosecution may proceed with evidence and witnesses. The trial continues. A forensic pathologist confirmed chronic lead poisoning. Bank staff testified to Rhoda's forged documentation. Stephanie, trembling but brave, read portions of her mother's diary aloud. Barrister James presented photographs of transactions with timestamps matching the withdrawals. Later, the verdict. Justice Bassey rose, the courtroom falling silent. Her voice, steady and sharp, carried across the room. Rhoda Ibekwe, you have been found guilty of poisoning your sister, Emelda Amadi, causing her death. You have also been found guilty of stealing from your niece, Stephanie Emelda Amadi, and keeping her in servitude while denying her the knowledge of her true heritage. Your actions have destroyed a family and stolen a future. There will be no adjournment. The law will be swift. You are hereby sentenced to life imprisonment for your role in the death of your sister Emelda and for the theft of funds belonging to Stephanie. Your actions have left a scar on this family, and there will be no leniency. Rhoda Ibekwe's eyes widened, mouth opening as if to protest, but the judge's gaze silenced her. Officers moved in, escorting her out.
Stephanie stood in the gallery, her heart pounding. Beside her, Maxwell placed a hand on her shoulder. Justice Bassey, gathering her files, paused and looked directly at Stephanie. You stood for the truth. Even when it hurt, your mother would be proud. Stephanie whispered, barely audible, "Thank you, my lord." Outside the courtroom, Stephanie and Maxwell breathed in the fresh air. The truth had been uncovered. Her future, once uncertain, now held a promise of peace. Maxwell's voice was gentle but firm. You are not alone anymore, Stephanie. You have family now. You have a father who will protect you. Tears welled in Stephanie's eyes as she nodded. The weight of years of abuse and neglect lifted. The road ahead would not be easy, but with the truth finally known, she was free. Please subscribe for more English stories, African stories, African tales, and African folk tales with moral lessons.